Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to talk about modern drama, and this is your lecture number 24, History of English Literature class, and ComScience Virtual Campus Islamabad. My dear students, previously when we were talking about modern era in the history of English literature, so I told you some of the characteristics of that era. The writers, they started talking about realism, and they started commenting on their society of that time. So my dear students, here you have to keep in mind, by keeping in view the scenario of that era, here you could see like we are just going to focus on modern drama. Okay, my dear students, as I told you, like in every era, some genres of literature, they are on the topper position. For example, in Romanticism, you could see in that era poetry was on top. Okay, in Victorian age, you could see like novelists, they were on the topper position. Fine, because they produced too many novels, and there was a fashion among the writers to produce novels at that time. And I told you the reasons, because education was too much common at that time, and the language of novels, that is very much easy to understand for the common people of the society. So my dear students, that was the point. So today we are going to focus on modern drama. Okay, dear students, what you have to do here is like during the Elizabethan age, you could see like drama was on the higher status. So here again you will draw a comparison of Elizabethan age and modern drama. So dear students, what you can do over here, like while doing modern drama, is that like by keeping in view the traditions of the drama previously in the previous eras, you could see the differences over here in the modern drama. So we'll cover some dramatists over here while talking about modern drama. Okay, dramatists in the modern period. So my dear students, these are the major dramatists in the modern period. Okay, my dear students, let me tell you one more thing. Like during the modern time, you could see like there are many writers who were not from England. You could see Norwegian writers are also here, and then Swedish writers are also here. So we'll talk about them in detail. Okay, so here, dear students, we'll talk about Ibsen, Strindberg, Chekhov, Wilde, Shaw, Saying, and Pirandello. So my dear students, like we'll focus on their works, and then we'll draw a comparative study as well of different dramatists, like how far their style is different from others. So by keeping in view the major doctrine of that very era, you have to keep in mind like poetry. As far as poetry of the modern era is concerned, you could see like that is very much difficult. So in poetry, we focused on T.S. Eliot in the previous lecture, so you could see like the kind of poetry he produced, that was very much complicated. What was the reason behind it? Because according to him, like the modern world is not at all easy to understand. Okay, and for a common man, that world is not that much easy to cope up with the modern standards of life. So my dear students, that is why that was one of the reasons he produced too many difficult poems. Like I gave you the example of the wasteland, which he compared with the modern era. Okay, that is full of different illusions, different myths, and historical events associated with that one. Okay, and you could see over there like people, they are too much towards the materialistic things, and they do not give much importance to the spiritual life. So my dear students, here you would see like with the passage of time, like how dramatists, they are highlighting different important aspects of the society. Okay, so we'll do some of the extracts from each play text. So first one is Ibsen's Adole House. That is really a very, very famous drama, and that is part of MA English courses as well. Okay, Strindberg, Miss Julie. Okay, Chekhov, The Cherry Orchard. Wilde, the importance of being honest. Shaw's Pygmalion. Sanjay Rider's To the Sea. Okay, Pirandello's Six Characters in Search of an Author. So my dear students, will focus on these plays. Those are written by the dramatists of the modern period. Okay, my dear students, here you could see like we are adding Ibsen in the modern drama as well, because in the Victorian era, you could see like we focused on prose writers, on novelists, and on poets of that era, but we did not discuss dramas. Okay, my dear students, like at that time there wasn't any tradition of writing drama as such, because people, they were away from theaters of that time. So this is again, you could see the revival of English drama once again in the modern period. That is why we are adding Henrik Ibsen over here, because he followed the modern traditions of writing the drama. Okay, he was basically a Norwegian playwright and a poet as well. So he wrote dramas in a kind of poetic form. Okay, the father of modern drama. So basically, when we were talking about who was the father of English poetry, so you could see, like I told you, like Chaucer was the father of English poetry. Okay, here when we talk about modern literature, so you could see like the father of modern drama is Henrik Ibsen. Okay, the prose social dramas of protest against social condition, inquiry into the condition of life and issues of morality. So my dear students, here you could see like many of the poets, novelists, and the dramatists, you could see like they were very much against the society or the conditions of the society, the traditions which people were used to follow at that time. They were very much against those traditions. Okay, and there were certain issues of morality as well. There was certain common sense in the society. So my dear students, writers of that era, they were very much against those issues. Okay, so domestic dramas, basically his dramas, they focus on domestic issues, the household issues. Okay, so you could, like if you read A Doll's House, so you could see over there, so that is based on different families. So my dear students, here he tried to highlight the domestic issues of the English society of that time. Okay, realistic play, naturalistic play, symbolic play. So basically he is very much famous for writing realistic plays. He was not in the world of imagination all the time, and naturalistic plays as well. Okay, he used to follow the natural, you can say, way of writing plus symbolic plays. For example, A Doll's House, the very name suggests you that basically that is about a little girl who has a doll's house. Okay, because we associate certain things with certain people. So here, according to the age, you could see like small girls, they were used to of playing with the dolls and with the doll's house. So my dear students, here you could see like this drama is very much important as far as the symbolic significance is concerned. Okay, if you complete the whole drama, so you would see over there that doll house is basically not the doll house with which the small girls they play. That would be another one. Okay, so here, dear students, you could see like he focused on the domestic issues as well. Okay, issues within our home, so he focused on those issues. Okay, now my dear students, I'll tell you some of his notable works, the eminent works which are very much important in the history of English literature. That is A Doll's House. Okay, and that was basically a realistic play. Okay, a criticism of the acceptance of traditional roles of man and women in Victorian marriage. So basically, my dear students, here you could see like although we put Henrik Ibsen in the modern age, but he used to write during the Victorian age. Okay, although he adopted the way of writing the modern drama, but he just wrote at the end of the Victorian age. Okay, my dear students, you'll have to keep in mind that he was very much against the traditional roles of men and women in Victorian marriage. So basically it focused on the Victorian marriage or the traditions which people they used to follow while getting married during the Victorian era. So basically this is a criticism on the Victorian society once again. So my dear students, that was against the Victorian society. Okay, another play that was written by Henrik Ibsen was Goose. That was a naturalistic play commentary on Victorian morality. So my dear students, here you could see like he focused on Victorian society a lot. Okay, their traditions which they follow in order to get married, and the morality of that age, he focused on that one. So basically this is a kind of commentary on Victorian morality of that time. Okay, A Wild Duck, Ibsen's finest and the most complex work. So basically this the Wild Duck, that is really a very, very good work, but this is a complex work. So you'll find different kinds of illusions, symbolic significance of different events there in his work. Okay. Hedda Gabler, psychological conflict. So basically here in this play he focused on the psychological conflicts. So my dear students, here you could see like psychological problems were very much common among the peoples of that society, so that is why he focused on the psychological conflicts. Okay, that is why I told you like people during that era, they used to write about human natures and human relationships a lot. So basically this is man versus himself fight. Okay, so psychological conflicts you will see in Hedda Gabler. Okay, the master builder, that is a symbolic play. Psychological conflicts again over here. So you'll find a lot of symbols here in the master builder, and you know again the psychological conflicts here. So my dear students, I told you the problems of the modern society as well as the Victorian age. So basically due to an influence of industrialization on the lives of common people of English society, you could see over there like people, they were indulged into many different psychological diseases at that time. So writers of that time, they try to focus on the psychological issues a lot in their plays. Okay, so that is why this is also one of the topics under discussion like as far as Henrik Ibsen's writings are concerned. Okay, Ibsen's contribution to the modern theatre, as I told you, he's known as the father of modern English drama. So now we are going to talk about like what were basically his contributions to the modern theatre of that time. Okay, Ibsen was a very important influence in opening up the discussion of the position of women in society. So basically he fought for the rights of women in that society. Nora in A Doll's House started a discussion about the position of women in Victorian marriage. Mrs. Alving in Goose drew attention to the double standards of morality for men and women, and Hedda Gabler ultimately constitutes a plea to allow women to develop their creativeness. So basically that was his contribution as well, like the kind of discussions which he had in his different plays you could see over here. Okay, so you could see like Nora started her discussion in A Doll's House, like that was a kind of discussion about the Victorian marriages. Okay, and Mrs. Alving in the next one you could see like in Goose, she drew our attention to the double standards of morality for men and women. So you could see like people, they were following double standards of morality during that era. So my dear students, here you could see like what is basically double standard of morality is like something which is good for man, that is not good for women. Women are prohibited of doing that thing. Okay, so that is the double standard. Okay, my dear students, this is very much common in all the societies as well. Like a man, they are on the dominating position. Okay, so that is why like Ibsen highlighted those issues in his plays. Okay, another example is from Hedda Gabler. So you could see like here that is again a commentary on the status of women in society, like they should be allowed to develop their creativeness. So my dear students, this is from Martin Aslin's book. Okay, and that was published in 1976. Okay, and page number is 98. Okay, enjoying his work with a double leveled perspective. So Robert Brewster in 1991 quoted this thing, and that is present on page 49. So my dear students, again he fought for women rights in the society, plus he worked for the double standards of morality in the society, and he raised a question like why women, they are not allowed to show their creativity in the society as far as literature is concerned or other forms of arts are concerned. So my dear students, this is basically his contribution to the modern theatre, or in other words you can see to the modern drama. Okay, so here like this is here, as you know that we are talking about British drama or English drama. My dear students, here you could see like we are focusing on British drama, or that is also English drama as well. So we are again talking about his contribution in the English drama. Ibsen has been called the father of modern drama, as I told you before as well, because he was the first to use the stage to debate contemporary social dilemmas, as in his best known plays about a claustrophobic marriage, A Doll's House. Ibsen's play offer lessons on the hypocrisy and dual standards of society. So here, my dear students, we are again repeating the same thing. So you could see over here basically that his plays are, you know, lessons on the hypocrisy and dual standards of society, of the English society at that time. So that is about hypocrisy as well, okay? Hypocritical attitude of the people of that society. So that is very much common in his works. He took for his subjects, for example, the role of women in society, as you could see in a doll's house, and had a Gulliver, and the consequences of inherited syphilis. So my dear students, that is present in the goose, okay? So my dear students, these are his subjects you could see in the modern drama, okay? When A Doll's House was first performed in London in 1889, it triggered a major debate on the inadequacies of the commercial theatre, okay? The theatre of ideas Ibsenites, young enthusiastic intellectuals of the new plays inspired by Ibsen seized on the idea of theatre as a political force. So my dear students, if the government of any particular country allows the writer to have their plays in the theaters, so basically there is a political force behind it. So basically, my dear students, here you could see like his drama was very much different from the previous plays. You could see over here like his dramas are basically based on the realistic approaches, plus they are concerned with the ordinary people of the society as well, okay? Basically that was Ibsen's contribution to the modern British drama, okay? Now we are going to talk about another dramatist of that time, that is August Strindberg, okay? He was a Swedish playwright, writer, my dear students. Here you could see like as I told you at the start of the lecture as well, like many dimensions here you will find in the modern drama, because those are not only English writers. Here you could see he is a Swedish playwright basically. So again he focused on naturalistic drama, expressionistic drama, okay? Again you could see like he focused on naturalistic drama and expressionistic drama as well, okay? So basically his drama Miss Julie, that is a naturalistic tragedy, and a dream play, a symbolist and mystic style. So my dear students, this is basically about his style, okay? Like the kind of writings he had during that period. So you could see over here, okay? Naturalism. So this is very much important to tell you what basically is naturalism, okay? Basically that was a movement initiated by Emile Zola, the application of the new positivist scientific spirit of the age of literature. So basically this was initiated by Emile Zola, okay? Zola not only wanted a realistic representation of everyday life, he rejected the idea which had infused the classical, the romantic and even the realistic theatre of his period, that art should strive to show the beautiful, heroic, uplifting and inspiring. So that is basically from, this quotation is basically from the work by Martin Aslan, and that was published in 1976, and the page number is 60. So my dear students, here you can see basically he rejected the idea of classical plus romantic and even the realistic theatre, okay my dear students? So here we are going towards another new approach of writing English dramas, okay? And according to him, the art should strive to show the beautiful, heroic, uplifting and inspiring. So it should not only be based on certain kinds of tragedies or the traditional tragedies, traditional stories of, for example, you could see in the medieval ages. So here, dear students, basically it should be beautiful, okay? Like it should highlight the heroic aspects of the society, or the beautiful factors which are involved in the formulation of the English society of that time. So my dear students, here you'll have to see like he rejected the idea of classical, romantic and realistic theatre, and according to him we should move towards another thing, and we should represent life in a different way, okay? So basically according to him, your dramas must be the realistic representation of everyday life. So that is why you could see like most of the people of that time, all the dramatists, you could see like they focused on the ordinary life of human beings of that time. Okay, dear students, that is why people of that time, they focused on the realistic expressions of life a lot, and that is why you could see in Ibsen's drama as well, he focused on the domestic issues, okay, like about the family issues as well, which are very much common. So they did not highlight the external society a lot, so they usually focused on the world inside a home, alright. Zola wanted the artist to uncover the truth about society in the same spirit of objective inquiry as that of a natural scientist approach to nature. So my dear students, here you could see like this approach would be rejected later on in the most postmodern period, where you will see like there was an interest towards the qualitative aspects of doing research and of writing literature as well, because we cannot avoid subjectivity from the works. Okay, so here basically he was of the view that there must be an element of objective spirituality in the drama as well. Okay, so artist, this is the duty of the artist to uncover the truth about society in the same spirit of objective inquiry. So basically he is looking at the truth that is about society as far as the objective inquiry is concerned. So my dear students, here you could see like a truth is never objective. So this is, I'm telling you, the doctrine of the postmodernism. Okay, here he is saying like a truth of the society must be having an objective approach. Okay, so it must not be differentiated on the levels of the classes of society or from individual to individual. So a truth of the society must be equal for everybody. So here we are seeing like he is going towards the application of the scientific formulas into literature as well, or in terms of scientific formulas. Okay, although that's you could see like in literature that is not at all possible, because we cannot avoid subjectivity and we cannot make any formula like scientific formula, or in order to highlight the truth behind anything. It was in the spirit that Ibsen in Goose brought a hitherto taboo subject like venereal disease into the theatre and caused an enormous scandal. Okay, so again this is a quotation from a work by Martin Aslan that was published in 1976, and you could locate the information on the page 60 and 61. So my dear students, basically that was the spirit of Ibsen's Ghost as well. Okay, so here we are taking Zola's concept over here, and we are applying it while analyzing Ibsen's plays as well. So there are certain elements of naturalism which are present in Henrik Ibsen's works as well. The basic impulse behind the naturalistic movement was a determination to capture the whole of human experience, however sordid and ugly, to leave nothing unsaid. So basically this is, you'll have to describe all the events, all the experiences of human being, irrespective of good or bad issues. Okay, it did this by an accumulation of significant detail. In romantic drama, the heroes talked in lofty poetic terms about love or glory, by concentrating on the concrete detail rather than on abstract sentiments. Naturalism tended to transform itself into a style in which objects increasingly became symbols, embodiments of ideas. So naturalism merged into symbolism. Okay, my dear students, here you could see like as far as the modern drama is concerned, so you'll see the elements of naturalism which are mixed with the symbolism as well. So basically here you could see like literature or drama of any period must cover all the aspects of human life, no matters all those aspects, those experiences are bad or good. So that is the duty of the writer, to cover everything. Okay, naturalism, previously that was the moment, but with the passage of time it became the style of the modern drama. Okay, so that is basically embodiment of ideas as well. Whatever you perceive, whatever you think, so you produce it in form of literature. So basically with the passage of time, naturalism merged into symbolism as well. Okay, Strindberg, who had started out as naturalist, took a slightly different path. In his determination to represent experience exactly as it really was, he soon discovered that depicting the external world tells only half the story. You also had to include the way that world was experienced by an individual. You also had to include the way that world was experienced by an individual, and that meant it's his internal world. So basically, my dear students, here our focus, we're talking about naturalism and Strindberg plays. So basically he was trying to say that we cannot represent the whole reality of the world by pointing out the external world only. So there must be a combination of external as well as internal world of the individuals in the drama. Okay, so here basically that was his point. Okay, so he's saying that touching the external world, it tells you the half story only. So in order to cover the whole story or the full-fledged story of the human life, so there must be a combination of external as well as the internal world of individuals in the story. Okay, so here we are focusing on the psychology, on the experiences of individuals as well. Okay, so this is not what is basically happening in the outer world, in the external world, in the society, what other people are doing. We'll have to relate everything to the experiences of human beings as well. Okay, so definitely here we can see quite a naturalistic approach over here. That is, you could see one of the points of naturalism as well. Okay, like you cannot produce natural dramas if you miss one element. If you just focus on the external world, so it would be an incomplete story, or that is a half story. In order to make a complete or to present a complete story, so you need to touch the internal world of the human beings as well, which is based on the experiences of the human beings. All right. Okay, dear students, here that is also very much common, among the modern dramatists, that they focused on the expressionism a lot as well. So what do you mean by expressionist dramas? Here I'll tell you. Hans Strindberg wrote a number of such plays: the Goose Sonata, the Damascus, and the Dream play itself, which quite in the spirit of naturalism tried to depict a dream. Okay, in expressionist drama, the characters frequently do not even have names. In Goose Sonata, the old man, the student, the mummy, the colonel. Okay, so okay, दूसरा वाला point दोबारा explain करने लगी हूँ. In expressionist drama, the characters frequently do not even have names. In Goose Sonata, for example, you could see the old man, the student, the mummy, the colonel, etc. So my dear students, here you could see like what do we mean by basically expressionist drama. So basically your focus here is on expression and not on the names of the characters. So basically this is one of the characteristics of the expressionist drama, that names are missing. So you could see here in Goose Sonata, that is written by Strindberg. So you could see there like names of the different characters, those are missing, and we kept on calling them the old man, the student, the mummy, and the colonel. So my dear students, that is one of the aspects of the expressionist dramas. Okay, so here you could see the same spirit of the naturalism over here, and here you could see like they try to depict a dream as well. Okay, so basically they focused on dreams a lot in their dramas. Okay, my dear students, here I'm going to introduce one more term, that is the epic theater to you people. Okay, that was introduced by Bertolt Brecht. Okay, Bertolt Brecht rejected naturalism as well as the classical and romantic theater, although he took many ideas from them. His favorite term was epic theater. So basically he was against naturalism. As we were talking about before about naturalism, that was very much common among the modern dramatists. Okay, and he also rejected the classical and the romantic theater as well. So although he took too many things from those theaters, but he came up with another thing, that is the epic theater. Okay, Brecht wanted an undramatic and epic theater in which the audience watched the play in a detached, critical frame of mind. This is the famous this is a word from another language. So my dear students, here you could see this is the alienation fact. It really means strange making effect. So my dear students, here basically audience is engaged in a play in such a way, like they have that critical frame of mind. They look at things with a critical assumption about it. So my dear student, that was basically epic theater. The essence of the epic theater you could feel over here, right? Brecht theatre therefore is anti-illusionist, that is, no effort is made to create an illusion of reality. Instead, the stage becomes something of a lecture platform, a laboratory in which models of human behavior are examined, tested and evaluated. So my dear students, here he followed an entirely new approach, that is anti-illusionist approach as well. So my dear students, here you can see like he was not at all in favor of having too many illusions in your drama. On the other hand, he is saying like instead of having too many illusions in your drama, so you can focus on the stage, that is a kind of lecture platform where people learn too many things, a laboratory in which models of human behavior are examined, tested and evaluated. So basically he's trying to compare theater with a lecture platform or with the laboratory where human behaviors are examined, evaluated and are tested as well. Okay, whereas the naturalist and Brecht concentrate on social reality, the external world, other playwrights following Strindberg and also novelists of dream states like Kafka and Joyce turn towards the representation of the world of fantasy and dream. So basically my dear students, Kafka and Joyce, these are the names of two writers. They focused on fantasy and dream a lot, but here you could see naturalist and Brecht, you could see like they concentrate on social reality, the external world as well. Okay, external plus internal world of the human beings. According to them, like if you just focus on the external world of the society, so it would just give you a half picture of the story. Okay, theatre of the observed, that is also very much common during the modern era in the history of English literature. So this is also known as absurdist theatre. Okay, an absurdist play uses concretized poetic images which gradually unfold and disclose their deeper meaning. So basically in absurdist play you are presenting something else, and basically if you want to highlight the hidden meaning of any act that is present here on the stage, so you could see like you'll feel like behind those poetic images something is hidden. Okay, something which is folded behind those poetic images. So this is one of the qualities of the absurdist play as well. Okay, in the conventional realistic play, the main emphasis is on plot and character. So here we are talking about the realistic play, the one of the characteristics of the modern drama. And in Brechtian epic plays, so my dear students, here I introduced two terms. One is about realistic, naturalistic plays, and the other one is Brechtian epic play. It is on the demonstration of human behavior pattern. In the absurdist play, the main meanings of conveying significance and effects are image and metaphor. So my dear students, Brechtian epic play, those are a demonstration of human behavior patterns. So basically their focus is on human experiences, on human behaviors, on human interests. So my dear students, here in the absurdist play you could see like in terms of image and metaphors, they try to highlight the reality. Okay, basically their focus is on the hidden meaning, to explore the hidden meaning, what is basically there on the stage. So it is in the hands of the audience to interpret the meaning by looking at the things which are present on the stage, by looking at the character and what they are saying. So this is one of the characteristics of the absurdist play. So my dear students, here we are talking about realistic play, the Brechtian epic play and the absurdist play. So these are certain forms of plays during the modern era. Okay, we are going to talk about one more playwright of that time. His name is Anton Chekhov. Okay, and he was a Russian playwright. So my dear students, here you could see a variety of playwrights over here. Some of them they are Swedish, some of them they are Russian. So we'll talk about all the other writers as well. So basically he was a Russian playwright. He focused on 4-act realistic plays. So basically this is one of the characteristics of his plays, that his plays are having 4 acts there. Okay, some of his plays are The Cherry Orchard, Three Sisters, Uncle Vienna, The Seagulls. So basically my dear students, these are his these are his 4 well-known plays in the history of English literature: The Cherry Orchard, Three Sisters, Uncle Vanya and The Seagull. Okay, Chekhovian drama, here we'll just talk about his drama. Chekhov uses the drama neither as a vehicle for individualistic self-realization, that is characteristic of the Ibsen plays, nor as a means of exorcistic self-expression, that is the focus of Strindberg's drama, but rather as a form for depicting the fluid world beyond the cell, with the author functioning only as an impartial witness. So basically, this is the characteristics of Ibsen dramas. Basically, he did not just focus on the individualistic self-realization as you could see in Ibsen's plays, nor as a means of exotic self-expression. So basically, he did not focus on both the things, self-realization or self-realization only. So basically, writer here is the witness. He has seen everything with his or her eyes, and here he is writing the things, okay? His plays reflect both his sympathy for human suffering and his outrage at human absurdity, alternating between moods of wistful pathos and flashes of ironic humor, which disqualify them from being mere slices of life. So basically, he feels sympathy for the human sufferings, plus his outrage at human absurdity. So basically, these are some of the characteristics of his plays, okay? So basically, he talked about human sufferings and about the society in a way that there are certain elements of ironic humor are also present. He tried to highlight the aspects in an ironical way plus in a humorous way as well, okay? So basically, you'll have to, when you are analyzing Chekhov drama, so again you have to keep in mind whatever he is saying, there is some kind of hidden meanings behind that one, okay? For if Chekhov is a detached realist permitting life to proceed according to his own rules, he is also an engaged moralist, arranging reality in a particular way in order to evoke some comment on it. His conviction that life as it is life as it should not be. So basically, you could see again a very negative approach to life, like life as you are leading right now, it should not be like this one, it must be better. We could see like his dramas are basically a depiction of his experiences of life. Chekhov will introduce political, social and philosophical discussions into his work because these are threads in the fabric of reality. But he is careful neither to take sides nor to hint any solution. So basically, he is not on either side, and he also avoided giving any kinds of hints or solutions as well. So you could see in the very first line, like he also introduced political, social and philosophical discussions in his works, okay? It is the duty of the judge to put the questions to the jury correctly, he observes, employing his favorite courtroom metaphor, okay, employing his favorite courtroom metaphor, and it is for members of the jury to make up their minds, each according to his taste. So basically here, this is a courtroom metaphor as well, and that is quoted in Brewston, and that his work was published in 1991, and the page number where you could locate the information is 145. So my dear students, here you could see like his writings are also again full of different images and metaphors as well. This is one example of the metaphor which you could see over here, okay? So my dear students, Chekhov's personality is a surface characteristic, and beneath this surface is a satiric, admonitory moralist. Chekhov the realist pretends to have no other aim than the faithful representation of reality. But Chekhov the moralist is always conscious of a higher purpose than mere imitation. So basically, again we are talking about the characteristics of his dramas. So his personality, if we analyze his dramas over here, so is a surface characteristics only, okay? And behind that surface you could see the satirical element as well, like in order to highlight some of the aspects of the society. So sarcastic comments are there, okay? He was a Russian author. So my dear students, here you can see like his works revolve against the quality of contemporary Russian life as well. The conflict between the cultured upper classes and their stupefying environment between the forces of light and the forces of darkness provides the basic structure of most of Chekhov's plays. So he focused on Russian life plus, the cultured upper classes. Okay, so basically these are two important elements of his plays. Cherry Orchard, a very beautiful work written by Chekhov. Okay, the Cherry Orchard was premiered at the Moscow Art Theatre. However, Stanislavski directed it as a tragedy. So here you can see he wrote the play in a form of comedy, but the director of the play, he molded it you could see towards. But the director of the play, he molded it towards tragedy. It has become a classic work of dramatic literature, as I told you before. The play's influence on many dramatists, including Eugene O'Neill, Bernard Shaw, and Arthur Miller. So that is why this is a very famous work written by Cherry Orchard. Okay, I'll just give you the short story of the Cherry Orchard, because that's a very important play. Okay. The play concerns an aristocratic Russian woman, Madame Ranevskaya, and her family, including her 17-year-old daughter, Anya. As they return to the family's estate, which includes a large and well-known cherry orchard, just before it is auctioned to pay the mortgage. While presented with option to save the estate, the family essentially does nothing, and the play ends with the estate being sold to the son of a former serf, and the name of that person is Yermolai Lapokin, and the family living to the sound of the cherry orchard being cut down. So my dear student, this is basically the story of the play. So you could see Russian names here as well, because again that is based on Russian life. Okay, there are different acts in the play. So Act 1 opens in May when the cherry tree in the Ravenskaya orchard are blooming. Act 1 opens in May when the cherry tree in the Ravenskaya orchard are blooming. So my dear students, here you could see different cherry trees in this picture. Trofimo, a young student who acted as tutor to Ravenskaya's son, Grisha, who drowned 5 years prior to the beginning of the play. Okay. What were basically the themes of the cherry orchard? The effect social change has on people, the theme of identity, the themes of the culture, futility, both the futility of the aristocracy to maintain its status and the futility of the aristocracy to maintain its status and the futility of the bourgeoisie to find meaning in the newfound materialism. So my dear students, here basically his focus was on aristocracy plus on the middle classes of the society and their struggle against the materialistic world of that time. Materialistic world of that time. In reflecting the socio-economic forces at work in Russia at the turn of the 20th century, including the rise of the middle class after the abolition of serfdom in the mid-19th century and the sinking of the aristocracy, the play reflects forces at work around the globe in that period. So basically, these are the certain themes which you could keep in mind when analyzing the cherry orchard. Okay. Oscar Wilde, another major dramatist, okay, and I told you a few things before this lecture as well about Oscar Wilde. Okay, he was an Irish-born English playwright and he was a poet as well. Okay, so comedy of manners, drawing room comedy. So basically, he wrote comedies of manner, a spokesman for the late 19th century aesthetic movement. Okay. A spokesman for the late 19th century aesthetic movement that is also known as Aestheticism in England, which advocated art for art's sake only. The object of celebrated civil and criminal suits involving homosexuality and ending in its imprisonment. Okay, so basically this is all about Oscar Wilde. Okay, now let's talk about some of his works over here. The Picture of Dorian Gray. Okay, this is his novel, his only novel which he published. So that was basically the only novel which he published. His comic masterpieces are Lady Windermere's Fan, okay, An Ideal Husband, The Importance of Being Honest. So basically these are his masterpieces. Okay, Basically here we are separating art from other areas like politics or about other materialistic issues which were going on there in the society. The movement began in reaction to prevailing utilitarian social philosophies and to what was perceived as the ugliness and Philistinism of the industrial age. So basically this is a kind of reaction against utilitarianism and against the industrial age, okay? Its philosophical foundations were laid in the 18th century by Immanuel Kant, who postulated the autonomy of aesthetic standards, setting them apart from considerations of morality, utility and pleasure. It was popularized in France and the philosopher Victor Cousin, who coined the phrase "I art pour I art for art's sake." So my dear students, here you can say like it was very much common in France as well, okay? And its philosophical foundations you can see in the 18th century, okay? The movement's ideal, the cultivation of refined sensibility. So here basically they focus on senses a lot. In England, the artists of the pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, Dante Gabriel and Rose, etc. from 1848 had sown the seeds of aestheticism, and their work exemplified it in expressing a yearning of ideal beauty through conscious medievalism. So basically, my dear students, these are the three poets of the Victorian age. They are also known as a pre-Raphaelite group. So my dear students, basically they started this movement, okay? So if we go to such the history of this movement, so you could see like it has its roots in the works of these three people. The attitudes of the movement were also represented in the writings of Oscar Wilde and Bertolt Brecht. So basically here you can see I told you some of the names where you could see the essence of aesthetic movement in the works. What is basically art for art's sake? A slogan translated from the French "I art pour I art." So basically this means art for art's sake, which was coined in the early 19th century by the French philosopher Victor Cousin. The phrase expresses the belief held by many writers and those associated with aestheticism that art needs no justification, that it need serve no political directive or other end. So basically this is the slogan of the aesthetic movement, okay? So my dear students, this is like art doesn't mean to serve any political or economical issues of the country. So this is art for art's sake, and you could see like this information is taken from Britannica Online Encyclopedia, okay? Another dramatist in the modern era is George Bernard Shaw, that is also known as G.B. Shaw, okay? He was Irish-born English playwright. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1925, okay? Let me tell you something about his plays, okay? Shavian play of ideas or thesis drama, okay? For example, here this is like Shavian means Shaw's play, okay? The quaint essence of Ibsenism, plays which were considered unpleasant were Mrs. Warren's Profession, plays which were present, Arms and the Man, farcical comedy. So basically this is a play which is basically a farcical comedy, and Candida. Three plays for Puritans, The Devil's Despile, etc. Those are written for the Puritans. Other major works, for example, Man and Superman, Major Barbara, Pygmalion, an antitype of popular Cinderella story. Basically, this is, you can say, a type of Cinderella story, okay? So that is Pygmalion. Shaw, an Ibsenite or a fervent apostle of Ibsen's, grew to be the true colossus of the new theatre. He began his literary career as a novelist, working also as a critic of music and drama. The beginning of modern drama in England can be dated in 1890, when Shaw gave his lecture on the quintessence of Ibsenism, which marks a watershed between traditionalism and new politicized forms of drama, okay? Playwrights like Ibsen and Shaw attacked the social codes of their society. So basically, again, you could see the essence of the social problems and the social factors of that time in their dramas. Conventional drawing room comedy probably reaffirmed the social code that the upper classes all form. That forms its audience. Okay, Shaw's brilliant and amusing demonstration of his socialist point of view contributed much of the rise of left-wing thinking in Britain and elsewhere. So basically, their audience, most of the time, belong to the upper classes of the society. So that is why they attacked the traditions and the norms which upper classes of the society they used to follow at that time. They attacked all those things in their novels. Okay, so basically he was in favor of promoting the new drama, transforming drama into a vehicle for ideas. His preface and sense of ethical purpose provide a model of Edward Bond. His intellectual comedy and the verbal brilliance he shares with Wilde. Look forward to Tom Spot. So basically this is his contribution in the history of English literature, that he promoted new drama. Okay, Pygmalion and My Fair Lady. Okay, so my dear students, here you could see like Pygmalion was published in 1912 and My Fair Lady, that was published in 1964. Okay, an anti-type of the popular Cinderella story. So basically you could see like this is an anti-type of the popular Cinderella story. Okay, why? You could see it in different images as well. Like Pygmalion, here you could see a girl who is selling flowers in the streets, and in the Lady Fair, so this is about a couple. Okay, my dear students, so when you analyze these dramas which are written by Shaw, so you'll have to notice on this aspect as well that this is an anti-type of popular Cinderella story. All right. Okay, let me tell you some things regarding Pygmalion. That is a very famous play written by George Bernard Shaw. Okay, so basically this is based on Ovid's tale of Pygmalion in Metamorphoses. Okay, it tells the story of Henry Higgins, a professor of phonetics who makes a bet with his friend Colonel Pickering that he can successfully pass off a Cockney flower girl, Eliza Doolittle, as a refined society lady by teaching her how to speak with an upper class accent and training her in etiquette. So my dear students, this is basically the story of the play. In this process, Higgins and Doolittle grow close, but she ultimately rejects his domineering ways and declares she will marry Freddie, a young poor gentleman. So basically this is, you could see, a combination of low class plus upper class standards. Okay, the first production of Pygmalion, His Majesty Theatre, was there in the Majesty Theatre in London on April 11, 1914, starring Mr. Patrick Campbell as Eliza and Sir Herbert Beerbohm Tree as Henry Higgins. So my dear students, these are the two characters, okay, of the Pygmalion. One is Eliza and the other one is Henry Higgins. Okay, it was directed by Shaw himself. So basically he was the writer plus the director of the play. All right. Okay, dear students, again we are going to talk about one more author, playwright of the modern era. His name is J.M. Singh. He was an Irish playwright, folklore collector, Irish literary revival, co-founder of the Abbey Theatre as well. Okay, Riders of the Sea. This is his this is his very good book. Okay, Riders to the Sea. This is his very beautiful play, The Playboy of the Western World. Again, you could see, as the very name suggests you, that is a satire on the English society of that time. All right, Riders to the Sea. This is, I just want to share some of the things regarding Riders to the Sea over here. Okay, a one-act tragedy, the play set in the Aran Island, and like all types of Sing's plays, it is noted for capturing the poetic dialogue of rural Ireland. So basically here you could see like he captured the rural Ireland. Okay, Sing's plays help set the Abbey House style for the following 4 decades. So basically his plays are very much popular for the next 4 decades. His telecized realism of his writing and plays of peasant life were the main staple of the repertoire until the end of 1950. So my dear students, basically this is the synopsis of the Riders to the Sea. I'm not telling you the exact story over here. So dear students, here you could see like basically he focused on the rural island of that country and peasants' life as well. Okay, let me tell you the plot synopsis over here. That is the plot summary or the short summary of his play Riders to the Sea, and that was published in 1904. Moria has lost her husband, father-in-law and 5 sons to the sea. As the play begins, Nora and Kathleen receive word that a body that may be their brother Michael has washed up on shore and Dongle far to the north. Bartley is planning to sail to Connemara to sell a horse and ignores Moria's plea to stay. As he leaves gracefully. Moria predicts that by nightfall she will have no living sons, and her daughters chide her for sending Bartley off with an ill world. So my dear students, this is basically the story of Riders to the Sea. Okay, Moria goes after Bartley to bless his voyage, and Nora and Catherine receive clothing from the drowned corpse that confirmed it as their brother. Moria returns home claiming to have seen the ghost of Michael riding behind Bartley and begins lamenting the loss of the man in her family to the sea, after which some villagers bring in the corpse of Bartley, who has fallen off his horse into the sea and drowned. So this is all about Riders of the Sea. Another dramatist in the modern era is Luigi Pirandello. Okay, he was an Italian playwright. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1934, and he was very much famous for metadrama. Okay, so his very good work, that is, the name of this work is 6 Characters in Search of an Author, that was published in 1921. Basically, that is a satirical tragic comedy. So my dear students, here you could see like the elements of styles along with tragedy and comedy you could see over here in his work 6 Characters in Search of an Author. Okay, so let me tell you some of the things about the 6 Characters in Search of an Author. In modern drama, modern playwrights have become more conscious than ever for the potential of that tension between illusion and reality, fact and fiction in the theoretical experience. So my dear students, at that time people, they were very much confused either to go for the realistic expressions of life or to find out the illusions. Okay, so that is basically a debate on all those issues. Pirandello used it in 6 Characters in Search of an Author by going so far as to show us the actors as they really are, as private individuals assembled for a rehearsal. Then the characters are imagined by the author, and then these characters are portrayed by those actors. So basically this all is about, you could see a fight between illusionary world and the world of reality. Okay, you'll see all these characters in search of an author. So basically either you should go for the illusionary world or for the realistic world. That is basically the debate of this work. Okay, 6 Characters in Search of an Author, we are talking about it. A movement in the early 20th century called theatricalism or anti-illusionism rejected realist dramas and substituted the dreamlike, the expressive and the symbolic dramas. Disapproved of realism because it had abandoned the defining tools of drama such as poetry, interaction between actors and audience, soliloquies, asides and bare stages. The theatricalists thought realism could not depict the inner life of human beings. So basically here they are rejecting the elements of realism, like if you go for realistic attitudes towards writing the drama, say you'll have to avoid soliloquies, you'll have to avoid the conversation between actor and the audience. So basically you'll have to take care of these things, and you cannot write a drama if you are a realist. Okay, so basically that was the point there, and which was discussed in the 6 Characters in Search of an Author as well. Okay, the play demonstrates these ideas in several ways. The focus of the play is on the interaction of the 6 characters with the real actors in the theatre. This suggests that human beings cannot distinguish between the real and the apparent. The distinction itself is illusory. Reality is merely what one happens to believe in at a moment. So basically this distinction between the real and apparent, it is very much difficult. Okay, so this is not in human nature to distinguish between what is real and what is apparent. The father character argues that fictional characters are more real than living ones, since they are fixed eternally, while a living person is constantly changing and subject to time. So my dear students, here they are giving more importance to the fictional characters as to the real characters, because they are quite static, they are fixed eternally as well. On the other hand, if you go for the real characters or the living person, you could see like they keep on changing, okay, and they are restricted to any particular time as well. So basically here again they focus on the objectivity of the characters as well. Okay, so basically that was the essence of the 6 characters in search of an author, and that was published in 1921 by Luigi Prunellado. Okay, my dear students, that was all about the lecture today. That is the focus was on the modern dramatists. Okay, so we talked about many dramatists today, and you could see like how did they focus on different issues from the society, how they changed their way, like the traditions which we were following in the Victorian age, those are very much different over here. Okay, they focused on the internal minds of the human beings as well. Their focus is not just on the external world, what is happening in the society. So that is all about today. So hope you are getting the things in a good way. Hope to see you again with a new lecture. Have a nice day. Allah Hafiz.